This is the ESPN 1320 Insiders.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, I called interesting, not good.
Jesse Tapia in for James Ham. James is down at Golden One Center. He was at Monte McNair's presser, throwing fastball.
Yeah, James just got done throwing stuff on the grill.
Honestly, if you weren't with us at youtube.com/ESPN1320 and missed the presser, we're going to play some of the highlights here. I did not include the questions, but overall, before we get to the Monty McNair of it all, really, really great job by the Kings Media Corps asking all the right questions.
Yeah, they didn't hold back. Would have liked the press conference to be a little bit longer. I feel like maybe there was a few more questions to be asked, but they came with it today.
Yeah, I was fully expecting one softball in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if the Kings were like, hey, PR intern, go in the press conference and just ask us easy question. But all of them, for the most part, were the right questions. What happened with Mike Brown? Why did you trade De'Aaron Fox? Why did you trade De'Aaron Fox for what you did?
Why did you not have a press conference after you fired Mike Brown? And why did you let all the heat fall on your franchise player?
So that was James Ham's first question.
Yeah, still waiting on that answer too.
And here's what Monty McNair had to say. Again, this is the first question of his press conference, which was this morning at 9:30 a.m. Here was his answer when asked, hey, you fired the coach, and McNair did not mince words. He was asked by Chris Biederman of the Sacramento Bee, hey, can you definitively say whose call it was to fire Mike Brown? And he went, yeah, mine. Full stop. So, all right, it was Monty McNair's call. We're taking that at face value. Seems like he should have come out and said something when Mike Brown got fired in December.
You would think so. I mean, Nico Harrison just came out after they traded their franchise player.
And maybe that's why Monty didn't want to come out, because Nico Harrison set himself on fire. But
sometimes you got to set yourself on fire, pal.
So here's what Monty McNair said when asked by our very own James Ham. Hey, why the hell didn't you address the media after firing your head coach and you made De'Aaron Fox do it?
Yeah, so I'd say at the time, obviously we were struggling as a team. Mike's done some incredible things for this organization, and we all saw what he did the past 2+ years for us. So I have nothing bad to say about Mike. I don't want to come up here and do that. I respect everything he's done. At the same time, we're trying to turn our season around. We're a month out from the trade deadline, and we've got to figure out now with an interim coach how we're going to go turn this thing around. That was the primary focus. I knew I'd come up here and speak to you guys at some point, but that was, it was all hands on deck for that. And so far we've gotten ourselves back into the mix. So, I think we obviously have some more work to do there.
So why didn't you have the press conference, Monty?
Right. You couldn't.
Yeah.
He was so neck deep in work doing nothing.
Well, it's almost too like that.
You couldn't take 10 minutes to answer a couple of questions. And I knew I'd talk to you guys eventually.
That answer felt like it was ready for a question that wasn't asked right there. Like, that's not what we were at. We didn't ask you to talk bad about Mike Brown. Literally, James Ham basically asked you, like, why didn't you hold a press conference and why did you let your franchise player catch the heat?
Yeah, like, everyone kind of understands why Mike Brown had to go.
Yeah, like, that's not the issue here, Monty. Like, that's not what was asked.
No, right. And so for him to say, well, we were a month out from the trade deadline and we're focused on improving the team, like, yeah, no, understood. But do you understand that while you were doing that, every fan, every media person was like, hey, this is weird.
You can do both, by the way.
1,000%.
You can do both. Like I keep bringing it back to Nico Harrison. He did the Luka thing, and then there's reports, oh yeah, the Mavs are still working. You can clearly do both.
At your next home game, or the day before your next home game, or whatever, next shoot around, go, hey, I'm holding a presser, half an hour before shoot around when people are going to be here, ask away. But to me, it reeks of didn't have a great answer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like cohesion with, hey, this is something that everybody wanted to do. We feel not good about firing a person, but we feel that this is the right direction for the team. Because if that's really what you think, you would have come out and said it. You would have held a press conference in December when Mike Brown got fired. December 28th or whatever it was. 27th, 26th? whenever it was,
around there.
you would have come out and said, hey, yeah, this happened. We wish all the best to Mike, but we feel that our team needs to go a different direction right now. We're a month out. You can say all that stuff. You can say we're a month out from the trade deadline. Everything that we're doing right now is focused on turning this team around. We want to make sure we're doing all the right things to be moving toward our goal of winning a championship. You can say all of that, and you will at least have given something to media, to fans, instead of having, because that's ultimately what it's for. Like, we do this for you, the viewer and the listener. James goes down to those press conferences, not for James, but to get information for you. And if you don't want it, if you don't care, fine. But a lot of people do. And to not come out and force the media to go, okay, well, hey, let's see. Let's connect some dots. Not just media, fans too. De'Aaron had that bad foul against the Pistons. Mike Brown called out De'Aaron Fox pretty clearly after the game. Fox was pretty upset after the game. Mike Brown fired the next day. Ergo, De'Aaron Fox got Mike Brown fired. You had no answers for that? You did not stand in front of your player?
Well, they've had 3 winning seasons, Kyle.
Okay, let's get to that. Monty McNair thrilled with the job he's doing.
Yeah, bang up job. Let's all just clap it
From
up.
where we started to where we are, I think we've had a lot of success. We're in our third straight winning season, after whatever it was, 15, 16 without. At the same time, we haven't won enough for our expectations. And ultimately that all falls on me. And so, I'm tasked with getting us to the playoffs, and that's what I keep trying to do. Up to you guys, how good that's been.
It's a thumbs down so far.
Yeah, let me check the standings real quick.
They were. He said that we're on our way to a 3rd winning season.
Yeah, you're a game above 500, pal.
Do you know what they were after 49 games last year?
What, Kyle?
29-20. They're 25-24 this year. They were 29-20 last year. Beam Team won the 22-23 season. They were 28-21. And
don't be throwing around the 16-year drought like that's your barometer. Right. Like, that has nothing to do with you.
Right. This is not frankly last year. The 22-23 season was spectacular. Nothing will ever take that season away. That was awesome. But at some point, just making the playoffs, just being in contention, just finishing above 500,
you broke,
like, bro, that doesn't play. That if Domantas Sabonis was 22 and if De'Aaron Fox was 23 and DeMar DeRozan was 28, okay, cool. Let's talk about, finishing above 500 and the path forward. But, like, bro, you've got star players in the middle of their primes right now, and you just traded one of them.
You're Miss P in the chat. Up your standards. Like,
that's it.
You broke the drought 2 years ago. Great. Like, what have we done since here?
That's it.
Like, is that, we broke the drought. Hey, like, remember what the Kings used to be? It's not as bad as it used to be. So, hey, it's not, like, it's pretty good. Like, that's not going to work.
I wondered that last year. Would just being in the mix be okay for people? And I think people before the year kind of went, yeah, like, would way rather just be in the mix than be irrelevant. But then you don't make the playoffs. And then you have a nice little play-in win. And then you get beat for a 6th time by the New Orleans Pelicans. And you don't make the playoffs. And now you're on track again to not make the playoffs.
That's just so frustrating. The fact that he's like, yeah, I've had 3 winning seasons. Bro, you didn't even make the playoffs last year. Who gives a damn that you finished over 500? You didn't meet the standard of the West to make the playoffs.
That's it.
You're a bad team for all I care. Like, you didn't make the playoffs. Who cares that you were above 500?
At some point, I went on Matt George's podcast before the year and tried to convey this point. And I don't think I did a very good job. But salute to Monty for helping me articulate the point. I was like, at some point, the expectations for the Kings have to go from Sacramento expectations to NBA expectations. That is, Sacramento expectations used to be, oh my God, just get to the playoffs. I don't care if you're the 10 seed and have to play your way in and you get swept in the first round. Just go to the damn playoffs. And they did that in 22-23. If De'Aaron Fox is healthy, they probably go to the 2nd round. As a Lakers team they matched up well with, maybe they go to the conference finals and everything's different.
Maybe.
But they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Then last year, they took a step backwards. We can argue all day about how big of a step backwards it was, but they won 2 fewer games, and then they missed the playoffs. And keep in mind, real quick, while Monty McNair is touting his above 500 record, you and I were talking about this the other day. 48 wins in the 22-23 season. They won 48 games. That was a phenomenal year. Like I said, I'm not trying to, this is within the scope of Monty McNair being proud of his accomplishments. 48 wins would have gotten you the 8 seed last year. They were the number 3 seed and in the playoffs thanks to a weird year in the West.
Well, it's just
there's a very real timeline where they don't make the playoffs with 48 wins in the 22-23 season too.
And like, let's just go. You did make the playoffs or whatever. You were the 3rd seed.
Sure.
Okay. You got bounced in the first round and you acted like you won the title, not even making any improvements coming off of that year.
That's it.
The only team who should not be making moves after their season is the team that wins the title. And I don't even necessarily believe that, because I think you should always try to improve.
Yeah.
You ran it back like, oh, wow, you lost in the first round. You won 3 games in the playoffs. Wow.
I have defended the decision to quote unquote run it back in the 23-24 year in the offseason. You had Chris Duarte. I even saw the vision with Chris Duarte. Like, man, okay, defense first guy, you can knock down a 3. Okay, I kind of like this idea. It didn't work out. But last trade deadline, you have to do something. This offseason, you have to do something. You finally make a move, and it's to trade De'Aaron Fox?
And that's the thing. You do something so you don't have to trade De'Aaron Fox.
Right.
So you don't have to fire Mike Brown. You get ahead of this so we don't get to the end of it.
Right. That is why when he goes, it's up to you guys to decide how I'm doing. Like, poorly. This isn't good.
And cut the sass, bro. Like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah.
Like with these short, like this isn't like, oh, why does everyone attack me? Like, no, you're the 8th seed right now. You fired your head coach. You traded your franchise player. Like, things are not good here. Things are not going good.
Maybe he's supremely confident that they have another move coming. And maybe he's supremely confident that Zach LaVine is going to take this team to heights that De'Aaron Fox was never going to. I don't think that's the case, but maybe that's the standpoint he's operating from. And maybe he thinks that they're going to be a top 5 seed in the West this year, and they're going to go to the playoffs, and they're going to make noise. He's going to save his job, and everybody's going to be like, oh my God, Monty's amazing. And you know what? If this all works, and there's another couple of moves, he's got a couple other moves up his sleeve, and they walk away from this season with a playoff series win under their belt, maybe 2, and you feel optimistic about him going into next year, salute. I will stand here. I will set up a one-on-one with Monty McNair to apologize to his face. I don't know if the Kings would give it to me, but I would try. But from where we sit right now on February 5th, this is going badly. And I don't understand how you can sit there and think that, I mean, he said we haven't had the success that we wanted. Like, no, not even. You've gone backwards.
Yeah, it's the thing. You've gone backwards each year.
It's not like, hey, they lost in 7 in the 22-23 season. And then, you know what? Last year, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis got hurt, and man, they just couldn't. I know Malik Monk got hurt, but still, that season wasn't going well, even before the Malik Monk injury. And then this year, you're a game above 500 in a spot where you've been 7 and 9 games above 500 the last 2 years. So I don't understand how he's viewing this, and maybe it's just a public face, but to sit there and act as though he's done some amazing thing for Sacramento just because he's gotten them above 500 the last 3 years. Like, at some point he talks about, we had high expectations. Like, yeah, you had high expectations last year too, and you didn't meet them. And now you're falling even shorter of expectations this year.
My takeaway from this presser too, and this is all just opinion right here, I could be wrong or whatever, but I think Monty thinks it came off to me like this roster is fine. And like Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox, like they just, not putting on De'Aaron Fox, but just the roster's fine. Like, they just couldn't get the most out of it.
Yeah.
I don't think he sees it as there's so many holes here or whatever. That's just how it came off to me.
Yeah, because he got asked directly, and I did not have time to cut, but he got asked directly, like, about adding pieces and making moves. And to me, that's a point where you go, we always want to improve the roster. We know where the shortcomings are. We know if we want to become a championship team, there are certain things we have to do. We're going to work to do those things. He just, I'm with you. He sounded mostly indifferent. Like,
Yeah, like, I don't think the moves come like half before the deadline. I think this is what it is.
I guess Sean Cunningham said on the Kings Beat podcast that they have a move locked in, and he believes they're going to make 2 moves.
It's fine.
But I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Told your players you got to move for John Collins too.
Right. That's where I'm not believing anything from this front office until the deal until Shams tweets it.
Until whoever the players trade is literally playing gets minutes in the game for the Kings. That's when we'll believe it.
Right. Yeah. Zach LaVine took photos in his King stuff. De'Aaron Fox took photos in his Spurs stuff. All right.
Whatever.
All right.
Get on the court. Get on the court.
Zach LaVine set to make his debut tonight. We will talk plenty about that. We've got more from the Monty McNair press conference. James Ham will be joining us here in a bit. He's making his way up from Golden One Center now. So we'll dive into all of that right here on ESPN 1320. Salute everybody listening on the radio. Thanks everybody watching on YouTube at youtube.com/ESPN 1320. Everybody in the chat house, we appreciate y'all as well. We got to step aside for a quick second. We'll be right back with more Kings on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Today. Clear.
You're right, G-Money. Everything's good. They're falling off the pace from last year, but everything's good, I guess.
New break times are on the rundown, by the way. Anyone see the video of Jack Cooley doing the night last night?
I did not. Shout out Japanese League?
Yes.
Japanese League legend, Jack Cooley.
Yeah. Super League, I think it's called. But yeah, end of the game, Jack's teammate shoots a free throw, misses. Jack crashes the board, put back, and on the way back does a little night. It was sick.
Tony, you're not wrong here either. Like, yeah, the owner should catch heat for hiring the wrong guys. Like, you're not wrong there. But I mean,
I would. Yeah, I get that to a point, but
it's like Monty and Wes are here right now. Yeah,
Monty's the guy. He's the front-facing person. I don't hate the guy.
Yeah,
I don't have any ill will towards him. I just don't think that a press conference that you had to know. Like, all right, I'm gonna get asked this. I'm gonna get asked this. Like, I'm sure the Kings, at least I believe the Kings do this. When Kyle Shanahan has a press conference, there are multiple people from 49ers PR like combing the internet for like, hey, here's kind of what people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
They're on Twitter, they're on blogs, they're on Reddit, they're on whatever.
Prepared.
And they sit down with Kyle Shanahan and they're like, hey, FYI, like, this person did a YouTube video about you being on the hot seat, and a bunch of people have written about it. It got picked up by Pro Football Talk, so you're going to get asked about being on the hot seat. Like, just a heads up. Like that, and there's that communication of, here's what's going on, here's what media people are saying, here's the talking points, here's the media talking points, not his talking points. Like, this is giving you an idea of what you're going to be asked. And that McNair presser genuinely looked like, we should bring this up again, but it genuinely looked like he sat down and was not blindsided, but like,
he just feels a different way about it, clearly.
Yeah, right. And that's also, I will say this for him, I'm sure that's a frustrating spot to be in, because there's just certain things you know and can't say. Like he said, he's not going to say anything bad about Mike. He's not going to go, because Mike Brown lost the locker room. Like, he's not going to say that. And he said it a couple times. We'll get to the Fox sound. But he did say a couple of times, like, indicated that Fox's camp told him he wasn't coming back. So,
yeah, there's that too. But Cole, I saw your message about Twitch. We'll try to get that fixed. I got logged out on my computer too. So,
yeah, we tried to fix that yesterday on the fly and could not. Sorry, guys. There's certain things with our setup that are like owned by Odyssey.
You got to go through the Secret Service to get through some of this stuff. So,
right. We're not totally sure that everybody. No, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. But yeah, it's not. Email goes to Jesse. Email goes to like somebody in corporate, and we have to email somebody else to get in touch with that person. And then they have to send us a code that expires in 5 minutes. And then by the time we get a code, it's like, yo, it's been 48 hours. So we got to re-rack it.
Exactly.
It's
a whole thing.
It's a mess. Here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen.
Nope.
Brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
No James Ham at the moment. He is on his way up from Golden One Center. He was attending Monty McNair's press conference. Jesse Tapia in for James Ham. Monty McNair spoke with media this morning for the first time since the draft, I think.
Might be right. No, I talked to Mark Jones.
He's had a press conference. Had an
press conference. Yeah, we'll talk press conference.
Had a press conference for I think the first time since the
draft. We'll call it that. Yeah.
And it wasn't. We were talking at the break, and if you want to hear what goes on during the breaks, check us out at youtube.com/ESPN 1320. Also, if anybody wants to join the program, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. We would love to hear from you and get your reactions to what Monty McNair had to say today. Also want to remind you that we are 9 days out from Valentine's Day, which means love is in the air. And ESPN 1320 is excited to give you a chance to celebrate all kinds of love this Valentine's Day with Strelitzia Flowers. You have a chance to win 1 dozen long stem roses with delivery, courtesy of Strelitzia Flowers. To enter, all you have to do is listen to the Insiders with James Ham and myself for the code word and enter it on the contest page at ESPN1320.com. We'll have that code word coming up for you in the second hour of the program. You can also visit StrelitziaFlowerCompany.com and use code radio224 for $10 off. Strelitzia is spelled S-T-R-E lit Z-I-A. S-T-R-E lit Z-I-A. There's also a convenient button for you on ESPN1320.com that'll redirect you right to their website. Shout out to Strelitzia Flower Company. We'll have that code for you for 1 dozen long stem roses with delivery. We'll have the code word for you in a bit. So we're talking at the break about some of Monty McNair's responses here, not necessarily the content of the response, but just kind of the circumstances surrounding it. And I will say this. While it didn't feel like McNair, I don't want to say blindsided, but he was like surprised, like, wow, really getting asked about this. Was a little bit kind of the vibe I got. But on the same on the other hand, and I'll provide him this benefit of the doubt. He also can't just get up there and say everything he knows about everything. He can't say, yeah, size and athleticism. Yeah, we're working on Cam Johnson. We're actually trying to spin a deal right now to get John Collins in here as well. So we're trying to make that work. We've got De'Aaron wasn't going to come back. He told us 2 years ago he wasn't going to come back. So that's why I didn't have a press conference. We wanted to throw him under the bus. And Mike Brown, he just lost the locker room, man. Like, he's just not going to come out and say everything he thinks.
Well, there's that, but it's also the off energy with the answer with like, yeah, we've had 3 straight winning seasons. Like,
no doubt.
Like,
you think
that's good? Like, we don't even know if this was going to finish as a winning season right here.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the whole, like, as if it comes off as if like we're crazy for thinking like there's issues here.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, to me, like that was off to me.
Yeah, I would agree. But I also think that, in fact, I think some of what is coloring his responses is what you're saying. Like, they're of the mind that they got a really great deal for De'Aaron Fox, and we'll get to some of his answers on that. But before we do that, I want to hit the Elk Grove Kia talk line, 916-909-1320. Hey, if you can hear me right now, your name is Don, and welcome to the Insiders. Hello, Don.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hey, I'm just wondering, like, why is it such a big deal to do a press conference? Is it just because you guys want to hear it, or what could he possibly say that you'd be like, oh, you killed it?
It's not about what
Good
he'll
question.
say. It's about taking the heat
call.
off of your franchise player.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's what people wanted answers for. Why did Mike Brown get fired? And that's not a Sacramento thing. That's what happens in sports thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is exactly what Jesse just said. They made De'Aaron Fox answer all the questions. They let De'Aaron Fox take the heat for Mike Brown getting fired.
Yeah, people keep getting caught out like, oh, well, what would Monty say that would make you? It's not about making us feel better. It's about taking the heat off of your franchise player like any other normal franchise does.
And what he could have done today is, honestly, I didn't have a huge problem with his answers about Mike Brown getting let go.
Yeah,
I didn't have a huge issue with that. What I had an issue with was it feels like there's a lack of accountability. There's a lack of, well, we're sitting here every day with you guys, the fans. This is not just a isolated to ESPN 1320 thing. This isn't us in a group chat with our friends who are in the media or whatever complaining about this. Like, this is stuff that we talk about with you guys.
yeah. I don't go to the press conferences.
Right.
Like, I don't ask them questions. I don't care. Like, I don't ask questions. Like, that's not what it is.
Right. It's the fact that we sit here every day and talk about all the problems with this team, and then when Monty McNair comes out and talks about it, the urgency did not feel the same. And that to me was the issue.
Good organizations show accountability.
Yeah.
And the Kings didn't that time.
Yeah.
And there's frankly haven't over time.
Yeah, there was nothing he was going to say that was going to make like, oh, wow, okay, you know what? Hey, you know what? Love the Fox trade now. That was great. Or love Mike Brown being fired now. That was great. That's not.
You make people feel better with the whole, oh, Doug Christie's 11-6 now. That's how you make people feel better. It's not necessarily with the answers right there, but the results after. Okay, all everyone's asking for right here is just show some accountability.
Yeah, that's all. Here's what he had to say about trading De'Aaron Fox.
On De'Aaron, I think incredible player. At the same time, we've offered multiple extensions. That's been public. And, in addition to public and private conversations that happened before that decision on the coaching change. So, I think, I'll speak more on that. But, for us, it became clear that there was no pathway there for a long-term agreement. And so that's also why we're here today.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
When he says it was clear there was no pathway toward a long-term agreement.
According to them, De'Aaron Fox was not coming back.
Right.
Yeah. Which
is kind of where that's what the reporting indicated as well, from Damian and James and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The issue I have, and I will continue to have, is the reason that became untenable is because they didn't do enough to improve their team to put De'Aaron Fox in a position to be an all-pro or all NBA guy. Because being all NBA, there's a level of like team success that comes with that, especially at guard, especially in the West, where you're just competing with guys who are penciled in as an all NBA guy just on day one, as long as they play 65 games.
Yeah.
So I get that a little bit. But it's going to be interesting to see moving forward how this gets framed, because to me at first it looked like, man, the Kings just kind of kicked him out when he wanted to stay. And now it's looking more and more, based on reporting, based on what Monty just said, that the situation was no longer tenable.
Reading everything that's
not going to be in Sacramento
and put out there, the way I see it is that, like, yeah, Fox wanted, Fox had reached his end with the Kings just because, he was ready to go, but also, I wonder, it goes back to the Kings letting it get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't make the moves to keep him here.
Yeah.
So it's of course, probably at this point, he wants out, I'd assume.
He expanded on, later on, he was asked by Sam Amick, and this was I think my biggest problem with the trade is it didn't feel like they got enough. And you could have kicked the can down the road and done this in the summer. So Sam Amick asked him about that, and here's what Monty McNair had to say.
I mean, really, I think anytime a player of that caliber, you get closer to the end of the contract, we've offered extensions, as we talked about. Anytime there's a transaction window, we revisit, how do we handle this? And I think at this point, with a year and a half left, we decided, with the public and private indications we were getting that this was the time to at least explore the market. At the same time, I think we got, a return we're excited about. And so that's why we pulled the trigger.
Yeah, that's kind of something that we've been saying a lot is this, that we can sit here and go, yeah, they should have gotten more. They should have gotten more. But if Zach LaVine was the goal, if they looked at the landscape and said, Zach LaVine is our best option to continue competing with Domantas Sabonis and with Malik Monk and with this current group of players, we have to get Zach LaVine. And that there are teams. Golden State was heavily in pursuit of Zach LaVine. And if we wait till the summer, he's probably not on the table, and we might not get a better player than that. So we'll just do this now. I get it.
Yeah, I think waiting till the offseason to get more is a nice idea, but frankly, that's not concrete.
Yeah, and it's something that Kenny kind of continues to say is, look at what they look like on Saturday against OKC with this De'Aaron Fox stuff hanging over them. It's not going to get better.
Yeah, I think if you would have played the rest of the season with Fox, I don't think this team would have made the playoffs. It would have got bad. I feel like, yeah, you could make a move in the offseason, but you're kind of just throwing away the rest of this season for it.
Yeah. So, and again, here's what we had the caller earlier that said, hey, why do you guys care so much about him having a press conference for this? Because this clears up. Okay. Like I am understanding the De'Aaron Fox trade more. Is it the best move in the history of the NBA? No, I don't think so. Do I think that the Kings are going to win a championship because of this move? No, not necessarily. But hearing from the GM on why they did this, oh, okay, cool. That gives us something to work with. Thank you. We never heard from him about Mike Brown. That's why when the caller earlier said, what's the big deal with having a press conference? What, so you guys can get answers? Like, no. So, well, yeah, so we can get answers, but so fans can have answers, and we can continue this discussion with all the information.
Yeah.
So we're not just guessing and going, wow, okay, let's see. So Mike Brown was mad at De'Aaron Fox, and then De'Aaron Fox was upset, and then Mike Brown got fired. De'Aaron Fox got Mike Brown fired. Holy smokes. And that's what they allowed us to do. That's what and us, the royal us. Fans in Sacramento, outside of Sacramento, media inside of Sacramento, outside of Sacramento, whatever. That's what they allowed to happen. But by coming out now, right after the trade deadline, and having this press conference, okay, cool, we got answers. May not love the answers, but at least we got them.
Yes. That's all just part of it too, is holding the accountability so it doesn't get out there. So your star player doesn't have to answer for it.
That's it. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Don, you're on the Elk Grove Kia Talk line. What's up?
Hello?
Yeah, hey, Don.
Hey, this is Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, can I get my Vucevic jersey now? Are we going to get Vucevic because he was not in that trade with the Wizards? Do you think?
Good question. Thanks.
I would hold off on the Vucevic jersey, Jason.
Buy a Vucevic jersey.
I don't think I would ever buy a Vucevic jersey in my life, no matter the team he was playing on, because he's probably going to be on a different one 2 years from there.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
James Ham is in the building. James Ham, who made the trek up from Golden One Center, is here. James, hello. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm wondering if you meant Valanciunas and not Vucevic. Either
no,
way.
No, because Valanciunas got traded.
Officially?
I believe so.
On my way here?
Last night?
No, there was talk that he might get traded for Nurkic, but I don't think that deal has gone down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Either way, I wouldn't get a Valanciunas jersey either.
No, anybody with a V last name is out.
Yeah.
LaVine just under the wire. Just under the wire. So you were down there. You were throwing fastballs. Salute to you and Kings Media for asking the right questions. Thoughts on Monte McNair's presser?
I thought it was like slightly combative.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I definitely, the fact that he knew he was going to have to stand there and take these questions now is why they had a press conference this morning. So when we get to Zach LaVine in like an hour and a half, that you kind of get like a fresh slate. And so I, to be honest with you, I agree with what they did today. Like put him out there now and then come back later. Like for those of you who don't understand why we would want to have a press conference, why you do this, whatever it is that just happened today, it's very specific. It's about accountability. Like somebody has to be accountable for what happened.
That's it.
Why a franchise just spent $25 million on a head coach that doesn't coach for them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, well, why does that matter? It's not your money. It's like, well, as a fan out there, it should matter to you because that's your money.
Mm-hmm.
That's your money that's being spent.
Yeah.
You can say, well, I don't know if it's directly. Hey, it all goes in the same bank account.
1,000%.
So it's your money that's being spent. And as a member of the media, it's our job to hold people accountable and to ask tough questions of people who make decisions like this.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And if you don't care, then that's cool. That's how that I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan. I'm not going to tell anybody what to care or not care about. But our caller earlier, and I didn't get her name. That's my bad.
Her name was Dawn.
Dawn?
Yeah.
Dawn, DAWN. Our caller earlier, Dawn, we have a Dawn in the chatty house too. The question was like, why do you guys care so much? Is this for your satisfaction? It's like, no. It's like our people like James who cover the team on a daily basis, their job is to get answers to what happened. That's the thing. That's what sports media is.
Yeah.
I
totally agree. And I know there's somebody who keeps yelling at me in the chat here. God's love be with you.
Shout out.
God's love be with you. That it's me who shamed the organization into making extending a head coach.
Everybody knows that.
I shamed them into extending him. No, you had a coach who won the coach of the year and led you to the first playoff appearance you've had in 16 seasons. And then the next season he won 46 games and you should have been in the playoffs, but you lost a bunch of games because you missed free throws. Mm-hmm. And then you had some injuries late in the season and didn't have the depth to get through. Like the reason Mike Brown had to be extended last summer was very specific. Because the Kings, as opposed to every other head coach that they've offered a contract to, they always give a 4-year deal. Almost every NBA coach gets a 4-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Brown did not get a 4-year contract. He got a 3-year contract with a mutual option for a 4th year. That's it. So if you're going to go into last season with a lame duck coach, that would have been a massive distraction, and everyone knew it. And the fact that when you signed him to a contract, that Monty Williams went out and signed this ridiculous contract right afterwards that jumped the pay scale for NBA coaches from $5 to $9 million a year to $15 to $20 million a year. That's on you.
Yep.
You gave him an out in the contract.
Yep.
And it's the reason he got an out in the contract is because the Kings wanted a team option for the 4th year. And he said, okay, how about a mutual option? And they said, okay, fine, we'll do a mutual option. Well, when he won, like no one else did in 16 years, every other coach loses and gets fired. He wins. He deserves a pay raise. He deserves an extension to be there longer. And that's not me shaming anyone. That's just logic. And if you don't agree with that, I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy that you would think that isn't part of this, that you don't extend a coach who's walking into the final year of his contract. It wasn't me who said it, but Sean Cunningham kept saying it on the King Speed podcast. If you're not going to extend him, then you might as well just fire him.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a distraction from day one.
Yep.
And that's it. That's the way it works.
And this is also why we wanted a press conference in December so we didn't have to talk about it in February. Like now it seems like we're rehashing old stuff. But we finally got an answer from Monty McNair today, so now we can discuss it.
How do you think they view their progress? Because Monty dropped an answer earlier about they had 3 straight winning seasons, broke the 16-year drought, and all that.
Oh, they're honest. I mean, like he did not like the late question that I asked. I could tell. Like he very specifically said
he went James.
Yeah, in the same way that I said. What Damien?
Oh yeah,
the other day.
Yesterday,
yeah, in the same exact way. Like that. Like it's an honest question. It wasn't outlandish. It wasn't outside of the realm of what you need to answer for. Like you won Executive of the Year. Have you done enough in the last 2 years to support De'Aaron Fox, to support Mike Brown, and to show that you're going to support Zach LaVine moving forward? Because Zach LaVine is in the same exact situation that De'Aaron Fox is in.
And you're asking that? because the 3,700 people watching this have the exact same damn question.
That's right.
It's not there's a, I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on the why did they have the presser thing. It's like, that's why, because that's the question. That's what we're going to talk about moving forward. That's when we talk about the trade deadline in 25 hours or so. It's like, hey, are they going to do anything to address those concerns, which have been concerns for 3 years? And his answer is like, well, I've had 3 winning seasons, so it's up to you to judge how successful it's been.
Yeah, I think that's like that. It's up to like will judge. Like it's the old fourth estate thing, right? Where the other people that. But what we do is we represent the people who have these questions. Yeah. Like not everybody, they don't open up questions of Monty McNair to 18,000 fans and pass the microphone around for 14 hours and let everybody get their question in.
Right.
No, all of you scream questions at us all day long. And if they're logical questions, we have to walk into a press conference and ask those logical questions.
Yep. We'll continue this discussion here in a second. Jesse Tapia, James Ham, I'm Kyle Madsen. The Insider is sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320. It is Sacramento's sports leader. Okay, Claire.
Some guy, Easy Raider 916, Eric RCJ is asking if he's blocked. I don't know. In the chat, he can't say stuff in the chat. So
did he just join? Like, I know there's like a waiting period before you can jump in.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes. There's you were asking. Oh, let's see. Sorry, I am racing right back down the hill at 11:30 to go cover the Zach LaVine press conference.
Busy day today.
Speaking of that.
Yeah.
Okay. De'Aaron apparently said something interesting at his shoot around.
Oh, he said something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Gosh darn it. Dang it all to heck. Oh, I see exactly. Old E. Hey, did somebody block Old E?
Old E?
Yeah.
No.
Is there? I can't see who's blocked and who's not.
I can't either.
That's on YouTube.
I did send a dude packing last night in the King Speed podcast.
Good.
He just kept being like offensive. Like,
oh, we did get Old E out the paint.
Oh no.
Maybe he said something. I don't know.
Are we letting him back in?
Sure.
All right.
Old E, if you're out there, we'll get you. I just got to get my other laptop.
We got you, brother. Yeah. Like for me, I walk out of a press conference like that and it's like, okay, we kind of start over and we move forward and we go to the Zach LaVine press conference. Because in all honesty, my opinion of Zach LaVine as a player and all that stuff, that doesn't really, like it doesn't go past like right today. Like
you have to grill his ass about it. Like, hey, I think you're too expensive. Thoughts.
Yeah. No, I mean, from here on out, Zach LaVine gets the same opportunity that every other Kings player's ever gotten to prove that he's a good player and a good teammate and everything else. And that's it. Like Zach LaVine is now a Sacramento King, and you move forward and you treat him with the same respect that every other player gets that comes in the door. And so that's why these press conferences like this morning are good, because it's like a palate cleanser. Like, hey, we got all that out. Now let's go like welcome Zach LaVine to Sacramento, ask him the standard questions that you ask a new player. And, like, I'm not going to throw shots at Zach LaVine in the middle of a press conference. I can have an opinion on him as a player as much as I want. But as soon as he's on the team, it's like, okay, let's see what he looks like in a Kings uniform.
Guys, should we take TC's call?
Uh-oh. As long as it's 49ers takes.
I was going to take TC's call no matter what, guys. Oh, no, we got somebody else. Shoot. No, I can put one person on the line, and that's it. And I just keep them turned down. All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen.
And
Brought
Jesse.
to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, James Ham's there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jesse Tapia hanging out with us because James was down at Monte McNair's presser.
James is working today, people.
James drove all the way to the arena, and he doesn't live close. Drove all the way to the arena, drove all the way back up here to Roseville to the studio to do about an hour of show, and then he's going to leave to go to the Zach LaVine presser.
You get that mileage expense today, Ham.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
I don't think that's a thing here. I will also...
Hey, I can assure you it is not.
Yeah. Yeah, you would know.
Let me tell you, as somebody who's asked, no dice. I tried to see if I could do like drive to Elk Grove and then use the company Lyft account to take a Lyft into Roseville every day. No dice. I didn't.
You should have seen if they had a company car. You could just drive like a
Could I just drive the truck with the
hey,
Odyssey
leave
wrap
the
on it?
Odyssey track in at the Elk Grove Panda or whatever, and I'll pick it up from there and take it to work.
Just drive it to and from work every day. Look,
I'll gas it up when I leave it.
I'm a billboard. What are you talking about?
You pay for my gas. I got you free advertising. You're welcome. Once
There
we're
it
here,
is.
out. 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. 916-909-1320. Maybe Elk Grove Kia can hook me up with a company car. If you want to join the conversation, please do. Remember, we don't have a call screener on this show, so it's just going to ring for a while until we can get to you. If you get bored, you can hang up and then just call back a little bit later. And we would love to hear from you on the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Right now, it's our guy, TC. TC, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Hammer, Kyle? What's going on, man? Jesse, too.
Yes, sir.
What's up, TC?
Hey, man, check it out. So, listen, what I got to say, first and foremost, the press conference was needed, and it does matter to people like me, to other fans, to even you guys, the media. So it does matter. And quite frankly, I thought Monty McNair answered the questions. I know Ham, and I respect you, Ham. You came in hot. You, Sean, and Tarby, even Deuce. Deuce asked a nasty one. But check it out. The dude stood up there. He should have had the press conference before. We all agree on that. But he stood up there and answered the questions, in my opinion. I didn't have a problem with what he said. You asked him straight questions. Hey, whose decision was it? He said it was mine. He said we came at Fox with multiple decisions. It made clear that dude didn't want to be here. What else do we want to hear, guys?
Yep.
What else do we want? Those had to be asked. That's all I got to say.
No doubt. Thanks, TC. Appreciate you. The Elk Grove Kia talk on is 916-909-1320. Our phone line is open. One phone line.
I did not have a huge issue with what Monty said at all. And to be honest with you, like Monty's been here a long time. I know what I'm getting from Monty McNair, just like I knew what I was getting from Vlade, and I knew what I was getting from Pete Alessandro and Jeff Petrie before him. Like each of them have their own personality and their way of answering questions. A lot of times they don't, like Monty very specifically, he doesn't answer the question. I thought he did a pretty good job today. And for that matter, I think him getting a little fiery at times, that's a good thing. Like it shows that he cares, and I know that he does care deeply, and that he doesn't like that he's, like whatever people are thinking of him today after, losing your best player. It's tough,
I didn't love his response about why they did not hold a press conference before. Like, well, we were focused on turning the team around. We're a month out from the trade deadline. Okay, well, you need to take 15 minutes and answer your questions.
Yeah,
and I didn't love. And then I also didn't what Jesse brought up earlier, when he more or less is like, "Whoa, we've had 3 winning seasons," and it's like, did you not understand what the urgency is here?
And you're 1 game over 500.
Yeah, you're a game over. You got significantly worse than you were the last 2 years. Like, you're not getting better,
and you're off pace of what you were last year
by a lot.
Yeah, and I think also the reason why you do have press conferences like this is, number one, you introduce the next guy, right? So there should have been a moment where you answer for why Mike Brown was fired, and then you can have it as part of the same press conference, but then have a chair sitting there and go, okay, now we're going to bring up Doug Christie, our interim head coach for the rest of the year, and we're going to, welcome Doug into Sacramento, or, like welcome him to the big chair. And then it would have been like, hey, Doug, what do you think? Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They just kind of skipped that step. And then it became more and more like weird and awkward. And then they decided to have the moment where they sent Monty down with Mark Jones. And that's just a totally like ridiculous situation to put Mark into.
Insane.
And because like I worked for NBC, you're a team partner.
Yes.
Like
you're not grilling him.
They never said, hey, don't write this or don't write this to me ever once the whole time I was there. But when you're put on TV on their network, that whether the questions are pre-written or not, like, where you're heading with the conversation. And like, again, it's a team friendly, it's a partner that you pay $35 million a year to for the broadcast rights. Like, you pay them. And so you're not going to expect them to have Monty McNair on and just grill him. To be honest, I'm sure Mark Jones would love to have done.
No doubt. But like you said, there are professional responsibilities that come with it.
Real quick, Weezy in the chat brings up a good point. Talking about before we couldn't have the press conference because busy working and all that. There's 24 hours before the trade deadline, and we had a press conference right now. Like, you could have had time to do it.
We could have 2 more press conferences.
There could be multiple press conferences happening here before that.
One today at noon, and then maybe another one on Friday or Saturday. Yeah,
ridiculous. But yeah, it's like you could have sat down and just said, you know what, we don't like the direction the franchise is heading, so we decided to move on from Mike, and we're excited about the direction we're going to go with Doug, and we think this is a good team and moving forward. Like, it's not hard, it's not difficult. Anyways, I don't want to dwell on that for too long.
Yeah,
the Oak Grove Kia Talk on 916-909-1320. Don, your thoughts on Monte McNair's presser? Go ahead, Don.
Guys, is this me?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. This is Brian. I just called a couple of days ago, a little bit sarcastic.
Yeah, it was great. It was the best.
I'm a little miffed in this whole, TC's comment. Well, what do you want him to say? I want him to acknowledge his mistake. I want him to say, yeah, you know what? It probably would have been better to get out in front of this and not make my players answer questions for the decision that I made. You're saying you made the decision. Just say in that comment, I probably should have gotten out in front of that one. Yeah. And while you're doing it, but at the end of the day, he can't. He's a dead man walking. He's out the door. We all know it. And I'm really confused why the Kings wouldn't make a move for KJ Martin, who might have helped them, when the team that acquired him got 2 second-round picks. It was right there.
Yep. And
you've got trade exceptions. You could combine his salary with Trey Lyles. Now you're at $15 million, like James has been saying. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's excuses, and it's we all know what it is as a human being to hear someone acknowledge their failures.
Yep.
And you're just not going to get that from this front office. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, Brian.
We sure did. Monte McNair's a dead man walking.
Not totally.
Yeah, I don't think totally either.
I think he's got 24 hours to not be.
Yeah.
And like, look, if somehow they catch lightning in a bottle here, and somehow Zach LaVine is like the answer to every question, like we'll have to wait and see what happens. Like, I do believe that there's a possibility that this thing changes and all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. Depends a lot on how the rest of the season goes. Want to talk to you real quick before we step aside. Want to talk to you about Underdog Daily Fantasy. It's available right here in California. Underdog's pick'em game. It's super easy. I'm going to have so many lineups set for the big game when the Chiefs and Eagles face off. All you have to do with their pick'em game is you pick higher or lower on at least 2 player stats like passing touchdowns, rushing attempts, receiving targets. I haven't even gotten through everything that they have for the big game. And you're going to win up to 1,000 times your entry. So like if you think Travis Kelce's going to light it up, or Saquon Barkley, or the combination of the two, you're going to want to get the Underdog app and play Underdog's pick'em game. It is super easy. Underdog's the best place to play pick'em. Download the app, sign up with promo code Kyle M, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code Kyle M. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. My big concern with my play on Underdog right now is that I keep on losing, but I'll hopefully have a winning lineup for you cooked up a little bit later on. Okay, we got to step aside. More on Monty McNair's press conference and where the Kings go from here with the trade deadline 25 hours away. We'll dive into that. Jesse Tapia, James Ham, I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Clear.
Yeah, it totally. I'm like, why are you waving at me? That's a weird time to wave. Did we do our Strelitzia flower stuff yet? Oh, all right. Oh,
That KD stuff got loud on Twitter yesterday, man.
Yeah, it did.
Loud.
the KD
Loud
stuff.
in private too.
The KD stuff. He will not play due to an ankle injury today.
But he actually hurt his ankle. Like, he's actually hurt.
Is he?
Yeah.
The idea of KD and the Warriors just brings back so much like NBA PTSD. Just like, not again.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, the Pelicans are trading Daniel Tice?
Should know Daniel Tice. So who?
OKC.
Yeah, they're trying to dump salary. I've heard that OKC is. I mean, that the Pelicans are trying to clear salary, and that's what makes any trade for Brandon Ingram really difficult. Like, the only way really to get him is if they're not taking back salary, and maybe even if you can save them salary. And that would make a super, super complex trade for the Kings. They would have to find 2 teams willing to trade players. They would have to, like, it's nearly impossible.
We got to get to what De'Aaron said. It ties in perfectly to what?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the ESPN 1320 Insiders. Get ready for the most up-to-date sports news and talk with the ESPN 1320 Insiders.
Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jesse Tapia sitting in with us today. We're going to take you up until noon, and then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and KC. and they will take you up to 4 right here on Sacramento Sports Leader. The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Salute to everybody watching on YouTube, youtube.com/ESPN1320. Everybody listening on the free Odyssey app. And of course, you guys listening on the radio at ESPN 1320 AM on your radio dial. We appreciate y'all so much for hanging out with us today as we talk NBA trade deadline, Monty McNair's press conference, and something that's related sort of to Monty McNair's press conference. De'Aaron Fox was at shoot-around today before the Spurs game against the Atlanta Hawks. And what he had to say was fascinating in the context of Monty McNair and the Kings improving their roster. McNair also in his press conference made it abundantly clear from the Kings' perspective that there was no way forward long-term with De'Aaron Fox. He made it clear he wanted out. Here's what De'Aaron Fox said today at Spurs shoot-around. This is via Jacob Toby on Twitter. Salute to Tyler and Brendan who both sent me this. Here's what De'Aaron Fox had to say at shoot-around today.
Primary destination or preferred destination? I mean, I think with the way that they're built, with the athleticism, with the length that they have, and also, I mean, the youth. I just felt like this could be a special team, and what Mike always talked about when I was with him was to win you have to be able to play defense. And even the year that we had the best offense in the league, I think we ended up being like 23rd, 24th defensively, and then you get to the playoffs and you really feel that. So I think with the intangibles that everybody here has, I think this could be a really good defensive team, and obviously you have someone very special back there.
Oof.
You want to sum that up for a little bit of the chatty people? There's a lot of basketballs bouncing on the audio.
He said the question was, why were the Spurs your preferred destination? And he said because of their athleticism and their size and their defense. And that was something that Mike Brown always talked about. Even when we had the best offense in the league, we were 20-something in defense, and it became really clear in the playoffs that you have to be able to play defense. And then at the end, he threw in and also having Wemby.
We have tall people. Now I have tall people. I get to play with tall people.
Size.
They have so many dudes who are 6'8". He's going to play next to Stephon Castle, who's 6'6". Man. Hearing it, it's not like a surprise. That answer is not like, whoa, I can't believe he said that. I'm not shocked. Hearing it put that plainly, when we've been speculating about that, having De'Aaron in his first media availability with the Spurs be like, I wanted to be here instead of there because they have tall guys who play defense, and that wasn't happening there.
I just wonder how much of it is just Monty in the front office have a different team building philosophy.
I think that's it.
Because the size conversation is not something new. We've been talking about that for years.
I think that's kind of what we're learning.
Yeah, this is how they view, or just how they like to build their team.
And not that I think necessarily Monty McNair's it's the whole thing with Kyle Shanahan and running quarterbacks. Kyle Shanahan's always been like, you'd love to have the biggest, fastest, strongest guy, but there are other things he has to be able to do to play the position. I don't think Monty McNair would be like, I would turn down a 6'8" player just because he's 6'8". I just don't know that he prioritizes it to the point that he's going to deal assets and risk financial or roster flexibility to have those players on his roster.
Okay, so here's the problem, though. And let's just take the player stuff out of it, because if you go back to who was the head coach in Houston and who even interviewed here in Sacramento, Mike D'Antoni.
Mm-hmm.
Mike D'Antoni doesn't coach defense hardly at all. It's a 7-second offense, right? We all know that it's like boom, boom, boom. I just want to score. You look at the rosters in Houston, they were just packed with offensive weapons. And then they did have some good defensive players, Shane Battier or PJ Tucker, they were able to find guys that could play defense in the same way that they've found guys here that can play like Keon Ellis. I just wonder if they're what the dynamic is here, because you keep trying to go out and find defensive coaches that kind of cover for the fact that you don't play offense. I mean, that you're an offensive team. And I think at some point, if you're being realistic with yourself, you should just hire an offensive coach. And I honestly think that Doug Christie will be the coach moving forward with this team. But Doug is going to preach defense the same way that everyone else did. And the question is, who lasts longer? Will it be Monty and Wes, or will it be Doug Christie? And then does the idea of what should happen here change? And then the other interesting thing that I just stuck in my head when De'Aaron was sitting there talking, Greg Popovich may or may not come back and coach. We do know he had a stroke. We know that he's rehabbing. The chance of him coaching again this season is slim. But if they're slim for him to come back this season, it's also possible it's slim that he coaches next year. De'Aaron Fox said the name there. You almost wonder if Mike Brown would be a fit to go back to San Antonio. He's part of the Greg Popovich coaching tree. He is a defensive-minded coach. And what if Greg Popovich is, like an overseer of the organization like he has been? But I wouldn't put it past Mike Brown to show up in San Antonio as a potential head coach. And I just think, hey, that's interesting.
You almost just wish your front office and players and all that were on the same page.
Yeah.
Because it's like Fox and Mike Brown were clearly hoping for one thing with the roster, and Monty and the rest have their vision for how they want to build it.
The thing with those Rockets teams specifically, James, and I'm glad you brought that up, is I'm looking at their roster. So Chris Paul, 6 foot, but at that time in 2017, 2018, really pesky defender, very good defender. Eric Gordon listed at 6'3". But then it was like PJ Tucker, James Harden, Gerald Green, Joe Johnson played there for a bit. Luke Mbahumute, Trevor Ariza, Ryan Anderson, Clint Capella. All those dudes were like between 6'5" and 6'10", and they just switched everything.
Yeah.
So it was less about like that one-on-one defense and more, you can get Ryan Anderson in a switch, but then you're dealing with Clint Capella down low. And you have a rim protector back there. The Kings don't have anything like that. The switchability and the versatility defensively is what we talk about a lot.
It's non-existent.
Yeah, they just don't have it.
No.
And that's more where when you look at those Rockets teams, they scored the hell out of the ball, but also defensively, it was just, we're going to switch everything. So it's really, really difficult and they were capable of throwing out some really high level defensive lineups too, while also being very James Harden centric and scoring the heck out of the basketball.
Yeah.
But I mean, every team's built different, and Jesse, I think what you said is right. I don't know that organizationally everybody's on the same page about what they need to do to be successful, and that's kind of a problem.
You're never going to get on your front foot that way.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
everybody's got to be rolling the same direction.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a big problem, and you got to figure out how you address that moving forward. Yep. Again, because being on the same page, it doesn't mean that you're a yes man.
Right.
That's the worst. Don't be a yes man to be on the same page. You should challenge each other. You should be able to challenge each other intellectually and push each other to be better as a front office and as a coaching staff. But at the same time, it should be within the confines of we are always on the same page, that we're always, the ultimate goal is to get better and to achieve a championship. That's where you have to be on the same page. It's like we're all pulling the same way. Right. And it's, Rick Adelman would say, hey, Jeff, I need this, this, and this. And it's like, okay, I'll try to get you that. And if I can't, just understand I tried. It's like, okay. And he would go, and then there were times where they would bring in players that's like, hey, everybody out there wants a shot blocker on this team. Let's try Keon Clark. Like, oh, nope, that's not it.
Sure.
And very quickly, they're on the same page. That's not the answer. That was an ingredient that didn't work. And so you have to continuously be on the same page, but also have communication where you're trying to move forward together.
Being on the same page in terms of, in this year's draft, you can't have somebody in the front office going, we need to trade this pick for Kyle Kuzma. And then somebody else saying, we need to use this pick on an 18-year-old so they can step in a couple of years and be a potential star for this team. And then another person going, we need Devin Carter. Another guard is what we're looking for. And then another person going, no, we need Tristan Da Silva because he's tall and he's experienced. You can't have that type of different page. You can be on the same page and go, hey, we're all aware we need a 3-4 type of big who's a defense first guy. You can argue about who that guy is. You can argue about who the best pick is. Or like, hey, you know what? One person's like, hey, but if we trade it, could we do this? That's what you're talking about. You can't have everybody going, we need Devin Carter. No, we need another Keegan Murray type. We need an 18-year-old. It can't be all you can't be on a different page in that sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to the Elk Grove Kia Talk on 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up?
What up, gentlemen? It's Big E.
Big E, what up?
I don't know who asked Monty this question earlier, but it was along the lines of why he fired Mike Brown, but like when he fired him, not just why. Like, I don't remember his response, to be honest with you, but you know, the front office could have done it like the night after we lost to Detroit, or possibly the next morning because we had that LA game on the road.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was like right before they're about to fly out on a game, and then that's when Doug finds out he's going to be the coach. Rudy Gay said it best. I didn't believe it because I was a teenager when he said this, but this is basketball hell, man.
All right. Thanks, Big E. Appreciate you. That's the other thing. We're talking about being on the same page, and Monty saying the decision to fire Mike Brown was my decision. I don't think it was. He's going to say that. He's gonna own that, and he's just gonna say, "Yep, that was my call."
That's his job to own that answer right there.
Right. Yeah, that's just what the GM does, even if he had nothing to do with it. Like that's why he's doing the presser. The problem with that is I think Mike Brown got fired when he did because not everybody was on the same page with it. I don't think everybody was like, "Hey, that Detroit loss, he's got to go. It's got to be done." Because if it was, you'd have a conversation with him that night.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that when you get this far away from it, the nuanced details of the actual day of and the week leading up to, like, it gets muddied, and we couldn't sit there and dissect it. If we would have had the press conference on Sunday after the firing, it would have been very specific. All of these questions would have been like front row and center. A month, 41 days later, those details don't nearly matter as much. I knew, like, the Sunday that they got blown out at home by Indiana, that things were about to happen. But the team had a company Christmas party that night. And if you didn't do it that night, now we're talking about, are you going to fire a guy on Christmas Eve? Are you going to fire him on Christmas Day? You got to remember, the Detroit game is December 26th.
Yep.
The next morning is when the whole thing happens, and they've got a game the next day. Like, the semantics of whether they should have called Mike into the office and done it before he left the building, whether they should have let him coach the practice and all that stuff. Yeah, all of that stuff could have been addressed, but that at this point is like very fine details to a story that's very old. And
I understand that, but if everybody's on the same page, if every decision maker in the Kings front office, Vivek, Monty McNair, Wes Wilcox, whoever, if they all knew after the Pacers game, hey, this guy's got to go. Well, all right. Well, let's see. It's the 20. That game was the 22nd. You could do it the 23rd. But that was your Christmas party. So you don't want to mess up the Christmas party. Okay, that's fine. The 24th, 25th. All right, I guess he's coaching the game on the 26th. Okay, fine. The minute that game ends, call him in.
Yeah.
Or the next morning. Hey, Mike, get here at 8 a.m. Like, we got to have a meeting. And don't let him run the practice. Don't let him do a media session. Don't let him get in the car and start driving to the airport. That, to me, is an indication that not everybody was on the same page with what they were doing.
Certainly,
function they got to fix.
Yeah.
I certainly that the final decision had not been made until a very specific time. I mean, like, look, Mike went over and talked to De'Aaron, but before that, they were all in the gym together. Like, Monty and Wes were in the gym, which is very rare. They were in the gym. Like, they were there. Like, they could have, like, had that conversation. They realistically, they should have, like, if they were going to do it that day, they should have done it before practice.
Yes.
And then you have, like, a really, really awkward practice, but it's like, hey, look, everybody, this is what we're doing. But Here's the problem. It's all the other steps. They had to go to Doug. They had to check and see if Doug would accept the job. They had to figure out a pay structure for Doug before he takes a job. They have to figure out like what's the long-term like and short-term deal that's going on here. So there is a lot more to it, but that's why you probably should have just canceled practice that morning and said, hey, look, we've got too much stuff we got to deal with, and just cancel practice. And then everybody gets on the team plane together who's still with the team at 3:00 in the afternoon or whatever it was to fly to LA.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, mistakes were made for sure. But again, we're so far away from it that's why like he didn't get drilled over all that stuff.
Yeah. And that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this for the third or fourth time now. I'm just going to beat this phrase into the ground. It's less about asking questions, answering questions. It's remembering the way all that went down when we're having a discussion about everybody in the organization being on the same page. It seemed to me that was a spot where not everybody was on the same page.
Yeah, I agree with you.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. If you would like to join the program. Hey, Zach LaVine's debuting tonight. FYI, everybody. That'll be fun. Should be interesting.
That and we have flowers to give away.
We do have flowers to give away. You want to do that right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we're
Tell
super
the people
excited.
what we're doing.
Yeah, we're super excited. This week, every single day this week, we're giving away a dozen long stem roses with delivery from our friends over at Strelitzia Flowers. Absolutely amazing people out of Strelitzia Flowers. It's a family-owned business out of Davis. Support local, especially at this time. And we are all in on these guys. They started their business by selling flowers out of a bucket on the campus of UC Davis. 52 years later, still in business. So if you go to ESPN1320.com right now, there's going to be a Strelitzia Flowers logo there. You can click on the logo, and we have a keyword. I don't know what the keyword is today, Kyle. What is it?
Red.
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 That will put you in for a drawing to win a dozen long stem roses.
It's like the color red.
The color red.
Not I read a book.
No, R-E-D.
The color red, like red rose.
Yes, like red rose. You can also go to StrelitziaFlowerCompany.com and use the code radio224 for $10 off any purchase of $100 or more. We have a button right there on ESPN1320.com, so you can click that and go right to Strelitzia. Get ahead of this. Go get your flowers for your significant other for Valentine's Day, which is just a couple of days away.
Are the Kings going to make another trade?
I think so.
I think they'd like to.
Feels like it.
Idea sounds nice.
I think they have to.
On the podcast last night with Sean and Brendan, Sean's sources are telling him the Kings have 2 deals on the table that they're ready to execute. But again, I don't know that, we've heard this before.
Yeah, was that not the case 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Plan A, plan B.
Yeah.
The Kevin Durant thing has to be holding everything up, right? Like, if he's getting moved,
I don't think
that's just such a massive trade that it wouldn't surprise me. Everybody's like, well, hang on.
I'm not going to give the Kings that benefit of the doubt.
What do you mean?
That the Kevin Durant stuff is like holding up other deals for them, at least.
That's fair.
I will tell you that the Kings came up in Kevin Durant conversations on Saturday out of nowhere. I like at this point, I'm not saying that that's something that could ever happen because it was, hey, plan A, plan B type stuff again. But Kevin Durant was at least discussed, and I believe that they at least had discussions with the Phoenix Suns about Kevin Durant and what it would take for the Kings to get Kevin, whether that was with De'Aaron Fox still on the roster or not. I'm not sure.
I love the idea of plan A, Cam Johnson, plan B, John Collins. If none of that works out, we'll revert to plan C, Kevin Durant.
Hey, what's Kevin Durant doing right now?
Fine.
We have to. We're going to take a 35-year-old all his money, I guess. Only taking the 10th greatest player of all time, sure.
Yeah. We'll see what happens here, but I have a tough time believing that they're going to sit on their hands because as of right now, like their jobs are still on the line. And I like it is what it is. Like you put yourself in a situation where you have a very, very similar roster. It's just there's a number 8 that says LaVine on the back instead of a number 5 that says De'Aaron Fox on the back.
Yep, might be better in some ways, might be worse in some ways, but it's all going to come down to I don't even think it's trade deadline action. How's the season end? It's a results-based business, man.
It's all matters.
If they do nothing else at the deadline and we lambaste them for it, and then they go to the conference finals, they save their jobs. That's what it's going to be. All right. James Ham, get down to Golden One Center and cover the Zach LaVine press conference. Jesse and I will take you up through the rest of the show, plus your calls at 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. If you are on the line, hang in there. We'll get to your calls next right here on ESPN 1320. We are the Insiders, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's Sacramento Sports Center. We're clear.
Bye, friends.
I'm going to run real quick. Jesse, entertain the people.
What's up, people? What do you guys got?
All right. The marathon continues.
Yo, work day, huh? Is he gonna be at the game later too? Are they at home or are they on the road?
They're at home.
Oh, they're at home too. Yeah.
This day never ends. I won't get home till midnight.
Zabel, hopefully anywhere but Miami. I'm over Tyreek Hill. He quit.
What's that?
No, Zabel in the chat asking about Tyreek Hill.
Oh, he's moving, isn't he? Most likely.
We'll see. High times KG. I mean, I guess Valanciunas, he seems the most realistic option at this point, and that fills a need. So.
I thought he was getting traded yesterday, and then
Yeah, they kept popping up.
It didn't happen. I think that in itself is tied up in the tier box. I mean, in the Kevin Durant. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to do there? They're trying to save money. They're so far over luxury tax. There's also something I'll probably discuss tomorrow, but all of these teams are shedding salary. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of these teams are. Well, that was still.
All right.
Are shedding salary, and I don't know what that means for like any luxury tax money that you were going to get is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's like, I know staying out of the luxury tax is a big deal, but if it gets down to like $8 million or $9 million, it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. We'll see.
Cool. All right.
Whatever.
Is Damien here or no?
I think he's supposed to be. Yeah, I think.
Okay, he is. Is everything okay or no?
Huh?
Everything okay or no?
I haven't done details yet. I haven't asked him yet.
All right. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. He's had a weird season, but I think they're fine. I think people make too much of the Celtics, honestly. Like they've been fine. Martin, I didn't see it. What happened? David, yeah, I think he beats Bud. I mean, Canelo's an all-time great. Bud is great at himself too, but I don't think he's beating Canelo at all. And I think Canelo beats Benavidez too. We want steak and salmon, I believe, Steven.
What's happening?
Figuring out what the food is at the wedding. Ooh. All right, yeah, I did not see Jaden Springer to Houston. What do we get back?
Second round picks, I bet.
Appreciate you keeping us updated, Martin. Yes, sir, Coach. Yes, sir.
We're not gonna like run every De'Aaron media availability, but in the context of the conversation we were having, what he had to say was very interesting.
Thank you, Cole. Also. Bryce, the deal is out there. Tyreek for Debo and a third-round pick and a sixth. Tyreek in a seventh for Debo, a third and a sixth. It's there. It's already been agreed to between me and Kyle, which named John.
Wait, Debo a third and a sixth?
Yeah, you're getting Tyreek in a seventh for Debo, a third and a sixth.
No, that's a thumbs down.
What do you mean? You already said yes.
No.
No,
there's
no,
there's
not.
It's not. No.
Now, back to the Insiders, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Get to your calls in a moment on the Elk Grove Kia Talk line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. James Ham has stepped out. He has another press conference to cover at noon. Zach LaVine will be introduced to the media for the first time before making his debut tonight against the Orlando Magic.
I'd imagine that one will be a lot more happier.
That's Jesse. I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Jesse, the producer for D-Lo and Casey, hopping in with me. Nice enough to spend his morning at work. That's so kind of you.
We get paid to go on the radio, bro. It's fine.
I wonder if anybody will have the stones to ask Zach LaVine what he thinks of the Kings roster construction and if they have enough size and athleticism.
Zach, what do you think of the team's defensive size?
Love
that. He's like, yeah, I think we can upgrade it, honestly.
He's like, yeah, I heard Monty earlier.
Yeah.
Disagree.
Yeah, big thumbs down.
That'd be incredible. I don't think that question will be asked, and I don't think it will be answered in that way. If it is,
that was Zach LaVine, though. He's a good player.
Yeah,
like the Kings have their own
debuts
dysfunction
tonight at
but...
Golden One Center. I'm really interested to see how this looks because integrating Zach LaVine into your offense, I know he's played with DeMar DeRozan before, but I don't think it's going to be just this seamless thing where you put it, you look and it's like, oh man, it's like they never lost De'Aaron because he's never played with this specific group of players before. He's a very ball dominant guard. Does he step in day one and he's like, nope, this is my team? Or is he more deferential early on? I'm really, really interested to see what Zach LaVine looks like in his debut.
I'd like to think that, he'll fit in pretty well. I don't see this team taking a massive step back because De'Aaron Fox isn't here. Like you got Zach LaVine in here now and all that, but my biggest thing is like the Kings were building towards something. At least they told us. Obviously trying to make the West Conference Finals, eventually all that stuff. And I just don't know with this current group what the ceiling is. Is this the team that like Kings fans can wrap their arms around now? Is this team 3, whatever you want to call it? Like is Zach LaVine a Kings guy now? Like is this it?
I don't think we'll know. Like it's going to depend on if they win.
Mm-hmm.
If they win their next 10 games, then yeah, Zach LaVine's going to be the most popular player on the team.
Yeah.
If they win the next 10 and he's scoring 28 a night. But I don't like, that's the thing is while I didn't love this move for Sacramento, I don't think there's going to be some massive step back where all of a sudden they're finishing 40 and 42.
I think they'll at least be in the play-in this year. It's been so bad. And so
I'd be shocked.
It's looked so ugly. They're only 2.5 games back at 6.
I would be shocked if they weren't in the play-in.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be shocked at all if they wind up in the top 6.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
Like I said, it's looked ugly, but they're only 2.5 back of the Clippers, I believe, for 6th.
Yeah, I think they are on paper a little bit worse, but I don't
think like you're going to be missing De'Aaron Fox's defense to the point where you're losing games now or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested to see. Are they defensively now just going to be such a mess early in games that you go, man, they miss having a player who's a good on-ball defender? Or is it going to be one of those things that like, yeah, hey, you know what? It comes up a couple possessions a game, but it's never like he scores enough that it makes up for it. And the offensive dynamic's going to be different because you have to guard Zach LaVine on the perimeter in a different way than you have to guard De'Aaron Fox.
The way I see it too is like you still have the same concerns and needs that you did before De'Aaron Fox got traded.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's why you talk about ceiling. They hit their ceiling in 22-23 and they've done nothing to raise their ceiling.
Uh-huh.
I don't think Zach LaVine necessarily does that.
No, it's just like you said, you got to round out the roster, and Domantas Sabonis, like Malik Monk, I think may be the leader of this team, but Sabonis is now the best player. So it's like just kind of do what you've been doing this season. I don't know if it's how far Domas takes him now or who.
It better not be. I'll tell you that much, man. Like people have seen the take that De'Aaron Fox is not a 1.
Uh-huh.
Domas isn't either.
So who do you think is the 1 on this team now?
It's Malik.
Okay.
Or LaVine. We have to like see how that dynamic plays out. But as of today, because that's not going to be Domas. A 1 is the guy that at the end of games, you're getting the ball to him and letting him work. The Kings actively avoid giving the ball to Domas late in games because that's not his bag. He's going to do all these other things to impact winning. You get down the stretch, you watch the Nuggets and you watch Jokic, just to play at the same position. He's got the ball. Low post, high post, on the perimeter, They get the ball to Jokic and he goes to work. That's just not Domas. You pick every other one in the NBA. That's what it is. If you want to call him their best player, I think that's I think that's right by a pretty significant margin. But to me, the 1A is the player that in crunch time in a playoff series, they've got the ball in their hands and they are controlling the game.
You think Malik can elevate to another level? We've seen it every time he's gotten an opportunity.
Yeah.
I feel like that can kind of.
Yeah, I don't. Here's the thing. It's like to another level. You mean higher than what he's done? This
Yeah,
year?
are we seeing the best of Malik Monk right now, or do you think we could see it with this elevated role?
I think we've seen it. What is he? 18 points, 6 boards this season. But what's his numbers as a starter? There we go. He's about 20 points, 7 assists, and 4 boards. Like, he's shooting 32% from 3 as a starter. Maybe that number ticks up a little bit.
Terrence brings up a good point right here. Malik's higher level might just be like more consistency.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's a good take. Who'd you say that was? Terrence?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Terrence. I think that's probably right.
Yeah, that's a good point right there.
Yeah, if he can consistently be 20 and 7 a night, yeah, I'll take that. And the thing with Malik, and this is again viewing this through the scope of the postseason, I'm not worried about Malik Monk in bright lights. In fact, I believe he'll be better when the lights get brighter in that bigger role. So that's why I'm a firm believer that Malik Monk can elevate himself by being more consistent.
Yeah.
916-909-1320. 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up? Hey, Don.
Hello.
We're talking to you.
This person might have us on mute because there's no noise coming through.
Gone. They're gone. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up?
Hey, guys. Just a random quick question about Keon Ellis, actually.
Oh.
I think he's going to continue to be the X factor for the team moving forward. It's funny, even the team trading 3 guards away, I think it's still going to be hard to find minutes for him.
Sure.
I mean, at least enough. I mean, it seems like every time a starter goes out, he comes in, he just shows up and does something really incredible when you give him 30 plus. Do you guys think there's going to be any change in how Doug prioritizes him, or is it just going to be that sort of 20-ish minute mark we see when everyone's healthy? Thank you.
Thanks for the call. What was your name?
Ben.
Ben, thanks for the call, Ben. I don't think we're going to see a big change in Keon Ellis's minutes, at least right away.
Yeah.
But if defense becomes a serious problem to the point that we get in here every day, like, well, the Kings scored 130 last night and lost by 10, then I think maybe you see an uptick in his minutes, but I think he's going to continue to be like 20 to 25 minutes a night.
You kind of brought up a point, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, about Keon. Like, when we get to the playoffs, and it's like maybe the starters aren't looking so hot, and it's like, all right, maybe we could use Keon to make a difference. Like, that's kind of what he is right now.
That's
he's breaking case of emergency for the Kings this season.
Yeah. I would like to see him start, and if that means DeMar DeRozan going to the bench, then so be it. But if that's not going to happen, and I don't think it will in the regular season, that's the playoff adjustment. That's we're getting killed by these 2 guards or whoever. We need more defense in our opening lineup. Here's Keon.
Keon feels like a guy where it's like in the chatty house, everyone's like, oh, Keon should be playing 30 minutes, blah, blah, blah. It's like Keon feels like a guy where maybe it doesn't happen now, but like he's gonna be maybe a 30-minute per minute guy or per game guy with the Kings.
If the Kings,
he's gonna make it to where like you have no choice but to have him out there. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm there now. I might be early, I might be wrong, but if Doug Christie, he would never. But if Doug Christie called me and goes, "Hey, what should I do with the starting lineup?" I'm like, "Dude, start Keon. Have a tough conversation with DeMar." And
don't think you can do that though. That's not the one.
Who is it?
I don't know, but it's not DeMar. You can't move DeMar DeRozan.
Why not?
Because like you got to keep everyone happy too. And I don't think you can move a Hall of Famer or whatever who was kind of brought here to take you over the hump.
Then get him out of here. If you're not into winning, if you're not into doing whatever
he is, but you brought me here to help you win.
Yeah, and they need right now bench production, and they need defense in their starting lineup. Keon, there's that bench production. here's DeMar DeRozan. You can run the second unit. You can take 1,000,000 shots. I don't care.
I see what you're saying, but it doesn't work that way. You can't throw
No,
DeMar DeRozan
but
on the
it
bench.
can.
No, it can't. That's the thing,
No, it
because
can't.
all
No,
this
it
stuff
can't.
matters.
This is not a player who's a 19-time All-Star and 12-time All-NBA, NBA champion, MVP. Like, he doesn't have all of that stuff on his resume where you're going like, yeah, hey, he has to start. Like, he
Hall of
doesn't.
Famer. He's Hall of Famer.
Is he?
No, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he
No,
is.
Yes, I was being dramatic.
Yeah.
No, but you can, like, at this point, you hit a phase of your career where, yeah, hey, you know what? Coming off the bench and playing 25 minutes a night is going to maximize your impact more than starting and playing 37 minutes a night.
I get it. Logically, sure. But you can't. You can't. It doesn't
All
work.
right,
It
then you're
doesn't
not
work that way.
going to maximize what you are as a team. Cool. No, but at least DeMar DeRozan feels good about himself.
It's not about that. It's just keeping, like, there's just so multiple things that go into it. You can't just throw DeMar DeRozan on the bench. You can't.
You can.
No, you can't.
Super easy. I'll do it right now. Hey, DeMar. How's it going? You're obviously a great player.
Are you serious? They're about to throw me on the bench. Get me out of here.
Okay, great. Monty, make the call.
Now we stink even worse.
I disagree.
DeMar DeRozan, like, he helped. He has a big impact on this team. I feel like he's been shortchanged this year.
Okay.
You feel differently, clearly.
I think he can continue having an impact.
No, you hate him. Just say it.
Coming in as a sixth man.
That's tough.
It fixes multiple problems.
No, we can't.
Notice they've been down 15, 17, 18, 20 in all these games. And then Keon starts and like, wow, look, they have a 10-point lead at halftime. Huh, weird.
See, Doug's going to call you, hey, what should I do with the starting lineup? You're going to suggest that. I'm going to yell, don't listen to Kyle. You can't do it. You can't do it.
I would not take my call in front of you. I would go outside.
Whatever. We're not benching DeMar DeRozan
Don
now.
again. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up?
Hey, guys. First and foremost, I just want to give a shout out to James Ham and the rest of the Sacramento media for, like, pressing and holding the front office accountable during that press conference. It feels like players and coaches are always held to that standard, so it's nice getting some more feedback from the front office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I wanted to touch base on what you guys were talking about earlier about it seeming like no one's on the same page. It feels like Vivek is running the organization like a tech company where there's a clear goal of, like, winning a championship, but all the middle management can't decide on how to make the product do that. Is there something that we can do to fix that, you know?
Good question. Thanks. No.
Well,
if you believe that ownership is running a team a certain way, there's nothing.
Well, there's always just a hope that they hire the right guy next and they kind of go about it differently.
Like, yeah, maybe.
Like, I kind of like to use the Raiders as an example. Like, they've always been just kind of dysfunctional, too many cooks in the kitchen. Now you got Tom Brady, and it's like I don't know if he's the sole one. Like, there's one guy making moves, and I think that's what the Kings need. Like, it shouldn't. Every time we talk about a move, it shouldn't have to be Monty or Wes or Monty, like, whatever. It should just be one person every time we are talking. You should not have multiple people here. You need one guy, and you need that guy to make decisions. Now, there's a point where maybe he doesn't make the best decisions, and you start over after that. But, like, that's where it's got to start. It needs to be just one guy is the head honcho. Everyone else falls in line. Everyone can collaborate, but when it comes down to it, I make the decision here, and that's final.
Sure.
When you get,
I don't know that Vivek will take a step back and not be involved in those decisions, though. Like, every team owner or team governor is going to be involved. Like, it's they have to sign off.
Yeah. Like, as far as hiring the guys, like, hire your one basketball guy and then get out the way.
Right. That's it. And that's what I don't know. I don't know if the Kings will ever get there.
That's an issue.
Yeah,
I don't like the idea of collaboration or whatever. Like as far as like
collaboration.
Let me like my point is that, like, as far as like making big decisions, like, yeah, we could talk, but ultimately I overrule you, and it comes down, it falls on me. Like, that's what I'm saying here.
Yeah, the GM assistant GM dynamic can't be. It can't be whatever it is for the Kings.
Yeah,
I would tend to agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's honestly like a big start right there. That handles half of your problems, I feel.
But, like, Vivek is also like a basketball fan. I think Vivek genuinely wants to win. And if he has an idea, I don't know this. This is me just speculating and guessing. if he has an idea about what winning basketball is supposed to look like, and Monty McNair's vision is aligned with Vivek's.
But okay, that's fair, but you don't know. You don't know what winning basketball looks like. You don't.
Sure.
Since you've taken over, you don't. Like you can
Sure.
have a vision and all that, but it hasn't worked. So get someone else to make the decisions.
I don't disagree with you.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm not yelling at you. All right.
You want to yell at me about DeMar DeRozan going to the bench? That's fine.
Oh, I love sports. That's all it is. But like that's the thing. Like you can't be like, oh, like I know. No, you don't. Like get someone else here who has like some status and all that, and let them start making decisions.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. That's Jesse Tapia. He's in for James.
Real
Ham.
quick,
James
pragmatic
Ham
pessimist. Yes, I want a King's tatership. I don't want a King's ocracy. I want a King's tatership.
King's Tater Ship sounds like something that you can buy at a concession stand.
Oh yeah, let me get some cheese on that, please.
King's Tater Ship with steak and cheese.
Yeah,
no,
that sounds great.
Jesse Tapia is there. I'm Kyle Madsen. James Ham, he is on his way down to Golden One Center to cover the Zach LaVine press conference. I believe he'll be joining D'Lo and Casey at 3:00 if you're tapping in for more James Ham. We'll be back in just a second. We'll have the handoff coming up with Damian Marley right here on ESPN 1320. We're the insider sponsored by Jiffy Lube on Sacramento Sports Center. What'd you say? Okay. Oh, no, that's wrong. Oops. Hi, everyone. King's Tater Chips sounds so fire. Hell yeah. Love that. Yeah. It's easy work. Well, man, it sounds delicious. Fried jalapenos underrated, by the way. I rock with a fried jalapeno. I don't think this works financially. But yeah, you can get Kevin Durant, you do it. I rock with a fried pickle as well. It depends though. Like there's definitely places where I've had fried pickles and I don't like them. Yes. I do a pickled jalapeno too. I'm a little bit of not a big spice guy, so there's a limit to the number of pickled jalapeno I can do, but pickled jalapeno is delicious. I would not. I know what all my takes are, and I'm wrong so much. Yeah, if you can get Kevin Durant and bring him in as your sixth man, I love that idea. I'm going to be 100% honest. I have not watched enough CD Sissoko to have takes about him.
Manny, this sounds a little crazy, but I'm intrigued. But it sounds crazy, but I'm intrigued. You've been there. You've been there.
Yes. Yes. I ordered a peanut butter and jelly burger one time. And it was one of those things. It was like the thing on the menu at the restaurant we were at. I was like, all right, like, I guess I'll try it.
That's crazy. Have you guys gotten to throwing honey on your pepperoni pizza yet?
I done what?
Like gotten to throwing honey on your pepperoni pizza yet?
Hot honey?
Yeah, hot honey.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on.
I'm glad we're all there.
Come on. See, David gets it.
Yeah, the idea works.
This might have been where it was. This might have been where I had it.
PB&J burger, huh?
Oh, hang on. We're coming back.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
And no James Ham, just Kyle Madsen. Jesse Tapia has been filling in for James today. Kenny Caraway in the building for the handoff. What's up, Casey?
What's going on, fellas? What's up?
I'm trying to bring DeMar DeRozan off the bench. That's what's up.
And I'm just shutting that down.
I'm the only person. This is
one man wolf pack.
Dude, I am like genuinely. Here's what I push back against. I push back against if your thought process is you start your philosophy is you start your 5 best guys, then yeah, DeMar starts. He's one of your 5 best players for to be totally clear. I am 100% on board with that. But we saw the Kings have a lot of success with Malik Monk being one of their 5 best guys coming off the bench and closing games. If that's your thought on it, cool. I reject what Jesse's take is and what you've said as well. I reject the idea that like you just can't do that. It's like you most certainly can. At some point, players hit a phase in their career where it's like, hey, you're not an all-NBA guy anymore. You're not an all-star anymore. And to maximize your impact on the team, this is the role you're going to play.
Understandable, but I don't think he's there yet.
Okay.
I mean, since the coaching change, he's averaging like 23 points a night.
He's been really good.
Phenomenal. And he's doing what DeMar DeRozan has done his entire career right now. So I don't think you're not wrong about that, but I don't think he's hit that phase. I think he's fine.
And let me also make this clear. This is a Keon Ellis Kings defense related take.
Understandable.
And Kings, the way they start games related take. This is not a DeMar stinks and he needs to be benched.
Yeah, Kyle's trying to get Keon Ellis more minutes here in the start.
Yeah, right. That's not. So I also want to make that. This is not an anti-DeMar DeRozan take. It's I watch the Kings night in and night out get 9 points off their bench. And I watch Keon Ellis start and I watch the Kings play a lot better. And I go, wow, hey, there's a way to fix both of those things.
I completely understand. I just don't think this team is set up and constructed in a way where there's a pathway to that.
Okay.
Like if it would take, it's hard to explain like what it would take, but like to get Keon in there, you'd have to get either DeMar or like a Keegan out. And I don't think they can withstand getting either one of those guys out of the starting lineup.
Yeah. You just don't have the options at this point.
You don't think they can withstand that's the other thing I get hung up on. If your starting lineup is Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, Keon at the 3, I know you're a little undersized, with Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis, I don't think you're like missing scoring.
No, you're not missing scoring. I mean, I'm the guy where the starting doesn't really matter. It's about who's finishing games for me. But there is also a level of, and I think Doug Christie will look at this or whatever. May sound ridiculous, but there's a certain level of respect you pay to somebody like DeMar DeRozan.
No doubt.
Who is still performing at a high level. Like he's not Joe Johnson a couple years ago yet. You know what I'm saying? Like he's still got it.
Late stage Carmelo.
Yeah. So you combine the respect with the production, and I don't think there's a need to.
I mean, ideally, the one that moves to the bench is Monk, but you don't have the point guard to fix that anymore.
I want your thoughts on this, Kenny, because you're deeper into basketball strategy than I am. In 2025, is it that important to have a quote unquote point guard?
Not necessarily. And then you
have Zach LaVine can handle the basketball, DeMar DeRozan can handle the basketball, Domantas Sabonis can lead the break. I just don't know. I don't know that having a point guard is that important, but I'm also not going to bench Malik.
Yeah, the traditional thought of like what a point guard was when we grew up, like that's kind of changed a little bit, a lot actually. Like you don't need like, oh, this is the one guy you get it to, and he, puts the finger up in there and that's initiates off. Like it's not necessarily that. We got pick and roll, we got DHOs, like you said, you got somebody like Sabonis and DeRozan brings the ball up and everything from time to time. So in the traditional sense, no.
But the Suns tried running that with Bill Booker and KD, right? Just one of those guys going to handle the basketball, and that failed just like they're not good now, but that
Well,
failed miserably that
to-
first season.
To me, the difference with that and a guy like and maybe a reason why Malik Monk is still in the starting lineup is because none of those guys were creators for others. You put any of those guys in a pick and roll situation with Nurkic, and they can't get them the ball. They don't know how to, spray it out, get the paint touch and spray out to the three. That's not really their game. They're finishers more than creators for others. Malik Monk has an ability to do both. We look at him as a finisher, but he's shown in his time here, like he's a creator. Like, so you get him out there and you take his points per game down a little bit, but you ask him to facilitate and create just a little bit more. I don't want him to turn into Eric Snow, but but like just a little bit more. Well, 2001 Sixers. That was my squad. Shout out Eric Snow out there with a bad ankle, in the playoffs. Big ups to him. Yeah, like just facilitate a little bit more, work on that pick and roll a little bit more, and he's got that ability to do it. So I think that's the difference between asking those guys at the Suns to do it and Malik and those guys.
I guess.
I don't think you're going to win this battle, though, Kyle.
No, that's fine. I understand that. I understand that I'm on an island here, and that's okay. I looked over at the chat. I pretty rarely because I've got a million things happening. And
you're a busy
guy. I look over at what, and the first thing I see was you just say anything.
Oh man, come on.
And that's when someone says, "Like, dang,
How's just the big for ratings guy?"
What they said. What's the farmer? They say the engagement farmer.
Oh yeah, you're an engagement farmer.
Dude, that's me. Kyle. That's me. I'm just doing this for clicks. Will you agree with me that that's the move in a playoff series? If they're down 0-2 and they're just really struggling to start games?
No, because playoffs is when you need DeMar even more because that game slows down. Like people talk about, people talk about the game slowing down in the playoffs and how he keeps guys from running up and down. DeMar's made for the playoffs. DeMar's made for the playoffs, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm starting off with him.
Maybe just run laps.
I don't see a pathway, Kyle.
Yeah.
I don't see a pathway.
Hey, how many? I gotta do an underdog lineup. I got Domantas Sabonis lower than 17.5 points right now.
I'll go over. I mean more. Or I don't know what it is over there.
Higher or lower. Higher on 17.5 for Domas?
Yeah.
I just don't know. I think he's gonna be looking to facilitate.
He's gonna have a 20 piece tonight.
Do you want to go higher than 6.5 assists instead? Or is he not kind of the ball in his hand? I don't know.
It's a good question. He's gonna have a big time night.
For 20
he's gonna have one of them nights, like 21, 15, and 9 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, you're gonna have one of them nights tonight.
I gotta go Zach LaVine higher than 20.5 points, right?
I would love that. I don't know though. Maybe he's trying to ingratiate himself into the offense. I don't know. I'm scared away from that one.
I'm feeling like a 6 for 15, maybe drops like 18 points or something.
18, that'd be a little deflating. I
gotta have something for Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I need a 20 piece.
3.5 made free throws.
That's a good one. I was thinking the line? Okay, I like 3-pointers made.
3-pointers made. I've got where are we at? 2.5. I like that. I like the free throws made.
Let's go higher. Oh, you already got the free throws. Okay.
Yeah, I like the free throws.
You're going higher with the free throws.
I'm going higher than 6.5 assists. And then I need one from Orlando.
Killing it with the assists, and my favorite one is the 3-pointers made from Malik.
It feels like that and assists are just are cash every night. This is of course underdogs pick'em game. Pick higher or lower on at least 2 player stats. You can win up to 1,000 times your entry. I'm doing basketball tonight, but I'm going to have stuff on the big game when the Chiefs and Eagles face off. I haven't made lineups yet. Who are you rooting for?
Chiefs.
I think I am too. Yeah. My body will tell me that day because I always go into games thinking like, oh, I'm going to root for this team, and then the game will start to happen. I'm like, can't do it.
You guys are NFC guys. You can't root for the Eagles.
Yeah.
What do you think I am, Michael Parsons out here? Yeah. No, I'm doing it for the division.
Take a lap, nerd.
But no, I mean, I look at it. The Chiefs are already great. Like, what's another Super Bowl going to do? It's going to make them even more. No, it's not.
It's way worse for the 49ers fans if the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
I agree.
Way worse.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I'm there as well.
You can't be any more annoyed by the Chiefs by them winning another.
If the Chiefs win, it's like your own little personal. Mahomes got to know. Like no one realistically cares about Niners Chiefs.
Philadelphia fans. Shout out to Matthew. Oh gosh, I don't want them having anything good.
I have several friends who are Eagles fans. I love them. I will do anything for them. God, I hope they're miserable on Sunday. The Eagles are just a better team, though. It just has a
better team than the Chiefs.
Yeah, like more talent. Sorry, they're more talented than the Chiefs, for sure.
Yeah, defense is crazy. And I love that Chiefs defense.
The Chiefs defense is crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
There's some chinks in the armor in that AFC Championship game, though.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah, I was like, oh, the Russian is bleeding.
Underdog's the only pick and platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. Now you can either keep riding with your entry or tap the win now button to cash out whenever you want. Underdog is the best place to play Pick'em. Download the app, sign up with promo code Kyle M and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code Kyle M. Here is my lineup for tonight. Demonis Sabonis, we're going higher than 17.5 points. Zach LaVine, we're going higher than 3.5 made free throws. Malik Monk, higher than 6.5 assists. I'm going Paolo Banchero, higher than 23.5 points for the Orlando Magic. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Kings winning tonight.
Yes.
Orlando has lost 9 of their last 10.
Bro, they're sneaky 3 games under 500.
Franz Wagner's playing. Paolo Banchero is playing. No Jalen Suggs. He's been out. But they're struggling badly.
Franz is playing? I thought he was out.
No, Franz is
he was back tonight. He was back the other night. I was watching.
Is he out?
But I think he
has been
was
rolled out
listed
tonight.
out yesterday.
I have not looked. I've been neck deep in a Monty McNair press conference all morning. So I have not
haven't we all?
You guys discussing that on
a little bit,
Casey?
A little bit. Plus, we were gonna have the Zach LaVine press conference.
Oh, you taking that live?
Yeah.
All right, we'll have the Zach LaVine press conference coming up here in a second. 24 hours and 4 minutes. The NBA trade deadline. If the Kings are going to do stuff, we'll have it for you right here on ESPN 1320. That's Kenny Caraway, D'Lo, and KC coming up next. Jesse Tapia, great job today. Appreciate you filling in, and salute to James Ham for driving all the way out to fill in or to jump in for a couple of segments before going back down to cover the Zach LaVine press conference. For Jesse Tapia, I'm Kyle Madsen. This is The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320. Sacramento sports leader D'Lo and KC next. Until tomorrow at 10 a.m. Drink water, be nice people. See you.